Ever since their creation in September 1963, the X-Men have been a cornerstone of the Marvel Universe. First created by the team of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, this ensemble of mutant heroes have remained one of the most popular titles in all of superhero media, with iconic comic book runs from writers such as Chris Claremont, Grant Morrison and Jonathan Hickman, rocketing the likes of Cyclops, Wolverine and Professor X to the upper echelon of popular culture. Combining with the many great comics, the X-Men are also no stranger to adaptations in other forms of media as well, with the beloved 1990s animated series introducing whole new generations to Marvel's band of merry mutants, while various live-action motion pictures have made the team a household name around the world. However, at the turn of the century, a brand new version of the X-Men was brought to the pages of Marvel Comics, created by the team of Mark Millar and brothers Andy and Adam Kubert. This iteration, the second series launched in Marvel's new Ultimate Universe, aimed to be a darker and more realistic depiction of the classic superhero team, bringing the struggles of the mutant population firmly into the 21st century. So in this video, I want to explain the origins of how Ultimate X-Men came to be, the original ideas behind this unique interpretation of some of Marvel's biggest characters, and what the legacy of this comic book series is today, almost 2 decades after it first hit shelves. Before we continue though, just a quick reminder to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it, and subscribe to Owen Likes Comics so you don't miss out on any future videos. Ultimate X-Men was the second comic book launched as part of the Ultimate Marvel Universe. You see, following the success of the series' debut title, Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley's Ultimate Spider-Man, Marvel were keen on bringing many of their biggest characters to this brand new status quo, and as such, the architects behind this universe, Bill Jemas and Joe Quesada, approached Bendis about the possibility of working on an X-Men series in a similar vein to his Ultimate Spider-Man comic. However, Bendis declined due to commitments on other books, causing Jemas and Quesada to look outwards, approaching Mark Millar, a writer who had found success at DC Comics working on The Authority. Now, Millar was admittedly an outside-of-the-box choice, as he wasn't overly familiar with the X-Men and its core characters. As he explained in an interview with Sequential Art,
Joe liked The Authority and got Bill into it too. They called me up and asked me to write X-Men when Brian bailed and I said no. My reason was that I'd only ever read 3 X-Men comics in my life, all very good and written by Chris Claremont I should add, and had zero familiarity with the characters. They told me to go see the movie and write a proposal. I saw the movie, liked it a lot, and then wrote something with almost no knowledge of the characters and expected them to wipe their asses with it. However, they felt the problems with the X-Men in recent years was the lack of mainstream appeal, and suggested that because I knew bugger all about it, I should be the guy.
Teaming up with artists Adam and Andy Kubert, Millar threw himself into the deep end and began building his own unique interpretation of the X-Men, combining the universe's focus on creating new and modern interpretations of classic heroes with his own penchant for more darker and cynical storytelling. Drawing inspiration from the recently released live-action film, Millar crafted a new take on the X-Men that was more morally complex and ambiguous, focusing heavily on the interpersonal dynamics between the various heroes and the issues they face both outside and inside the Xavier Institute. The team's lineup would remain very similar to the live-action version too, with issue 1 introducing a team consisting of Charles Xavier, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, Beast, Colossus and Iceman, with Wolverine joining the team in later issues. Nevertheless, this proved to be an exciting reimagining of the iconic team, and with the enormous success of Ultimate Spider-Man, readers were keen to explore even more corners of this brand new universe. As such, Ultimate X-Men issue 1 finally hit shelves in February of 2001, as the world prepared to witness the evolution of the Ultimate Marvel Universe. The first 6 issues of Ultimate X-Men are comprised by a storyline known as the Tomorrow People, which introduces us to this new version of the mutant ensemble. In the first issue, we learn that after the Brotherhood of Mutants declared war on humanity, orchestrating a series of terrorist attacks in New York and Washington DC, the US government began working on the Sentinel program, releasing the first batch of mutant hunting robots onto the streets soon after to curb the Brotherhood's pending threat. As tensions between man and mutant kind escalate, Professor Charles Xavier assembles a team of 5 teenagers to form a peacekeeping task force designed to stop the Brotherhood, known as the X-Men, with their first assignment being to rescue Iceman from a fleet of Sentinels. Meanwhile, we learn that in the Savage Land, the Brotherhood discover the X-Men's formation, with their leader Magneto sending Wolverine, his most deadly assassin, to infiltrate the X-Men and murder Professor Xavier. Wolverine allows himself to be apprehended by the military, causing Charles to locate him using Cerebro and sending the X-Men to rescue him. They do and return to the Xavier Institute, where we see Wolverine begin to earn the trust of each member of the team, even becoming romantically linked to Jean Grey. Soon after, the team are deployed to Croatia, where they come face to face with the Brotherhood for the first time, before Magneto confronts Cyclops, with Scott following the villain back to the Savage Land. As the rest of the team discovers that Cyclops has vanished, Xavier learns that the government plans to send Sentinels to destroy the Savage Land. Whilst confronting Magneto in his lair, Cyclops witnesses the Sentinels arrive on the island, before Magneto rearranges their circuit boards and sends them back to destroy the White House. Cyclops warns the X-Men of the situation, causing Charles to send a message to the entire world's mutant population, telling them to take shelter and that the X-Men will protect them at all costs, as the heroes arrive to fight the Sentinels. As the X-Men work together to destroy the robots, Charles Xavier confronts Magneto, as we learn the two are former best friends turned bitter rivals. With the cameras of the entire world watching, Magneto attacks Xavier outside of the White House, preparing to kill him before Wolverine intervenes and saves the life of the man he was tasked with killing. Magneto and Wolverine fight, and as they do, the former's protective helmet is removed, allowing Xavier to psychically attack and immobilize him. With Magneto defeated and the Sentinels destroyed, Wolverine confesses his initial intentions to the team, admitting the error of his ways and realizing that Xavier's dream of peaceful coexistence is the way forward. The other members of the team accept him as Cyclops and Xavier share a drink, toasting to the future and the next steps of their grand plan. From here, the subsequent issues would focus on expanding the mutant corner of the Ultimate Universe. The second story arc, Return to Weapon X, would not only introduce the mysterious program that gave Wolverine his metal claws, but introduce the likes of Nightcrawler, Rogue, and even Nick Fury, with this version of Weapon X being an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D. Soon after, we would learn that Magneto survived his initial fights with the X-Men, and is actually being rehabilitated by Professor Xavier, before he's broken free by the Brotherhood. Magneto would declare war on humanity once again, causing the X-Men to be branded traitors by the US government, resulting in a clash with the Ultimates, this universe's version of the Avengers, in the 2003 miniseries Ultimate War. As Millar built up to a second showdown between the X-Men and Magneto, the writer also began to further develop the characterizations of each member of the team, with the X-Men becoming celebrities after the publishing of Charles Xavier's book, the development of a heated love triangle between Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean Grey, and Jean even developing her Phoenix abilities during a battle with the Hellfire Club. The X-Men would eventually face off against the Brotherhood in Millar's final storyline, Return of the King. Here, Magneto wages war on humanity once again, with Professor X being detained by S.H.I.E.L.D., with the government demanding the location of both the X-Men and Magneto. As war breaks out between humans and mutants, Cyclops, who is stranded in the Savage Land after a fight with Wolverine, is discovered and brought to Magneto's citadel. Cyclops watches as Magneto addresses the world's mutant population, informing them that he's created a doomsday machine that will shift the Earth's magnetic poles, and they can either stand by him or die alongside humanity. Cyclops attempts to stop Magneto, distracting him while the X-Jet crashes into the Citadel, with his teammates arriving to try and stop the villain from using the doomsday device. They ultimately prove to be unsuccessful though, and Magneto takes the X-Men prisoner, using the machine and destroying a nuclear power plant that will irradiate much of the American East Coast. Eventually, the X-Men break free with the help of Colossus, Colossus and confront Magneto, who, realizing he's outnumbered, actually attempts to take his own life before being stopped by Jean Grey. With Magneto neutralized, Jean receives a message from Charles Xavier, telling her that the SHIELD facility he's being detained in is in danger of being irradiated by the destroyed power plant. In a desperate attempt to save her mentor, Jean unleashes the Phoenix Force once again and transports herself to Xavier's location, lifting the entire plant from the Earth and saving everyone inside the facility. Return of the King ends with a nod to the original X-Men film, with Xavier meeting Magneto inside his plastic cell within the Triskelion, as the two friends turned enemies lament over what has become of both of them. It's here that Charles actually attempts to reach out to Magneto emotionally, only for the villain to push Professor X away, cementing his fate as an enemy to both humanity and the X-Men as a new era for the mutant team begins. Following the events of Return of the King, Mark Millar would leave Ultimate X-Men, and a variety of different writers would take over for brief stints in his place, including Brian Michael Bendis, Brian K. Vaughan, and Robert Kirkman. Now, this period of Ultimate X-Men would see a focus on introducing new villains for the team to face, such as Emma Frost, who leads a government-approved mutant task force, Mr. Sinister, now characterized as a former Oscorp scientist who sees visions of the mutant god Apocalypse, and the Shi'ar Empire, who instead of being aliens, are now imagined as a religious group who worship the Phoenix. It would also be around this time that Colossus would be revealed to be gay, with the hero coming out in Ultimate X-Men issue 65. In particular, Robert Kirkman's run, which lasted from March of 2006 to June of 2008, would perhaps be the most noteworthy, with the writer killing off Charles Xavier before it's revealed that he was actually sent to the future by Cable, and concluding with an epic showdown between the X-Men and Apocalypse. The Ultimate X-Men's fortunes would change the following year though, when Magneto returned in the universe-wide crossover Ultimatum. You see, after the death of Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch in Ultimates 3, Magneto would fulfill his promise of shifting the Earth's magnetic poles, using Thor's hammer to unleash a tidal wave across New York City that kills countless members of the Marvel Universe. Professor X is actually the first to realise that Magneto is behind the devastation, sending a message to many of the universe's surviving heroes, warning them to band together against Magneto. As the likes of the X-Men, the Ultimates, and the Fantastic Four all scramble to find their missing partners, Magneto would confront Charles in the Xavier Institute before snapping his neck and killing him. With Xavier now dead, the X-Men wage war on Magneto, launching an attack on his citadel that results in the deaths of Wolverine and Angel. Despite this though, the X-Men do manage to take down Magneto, as Nick Fury uses Jean Grey's telepathy to reveal the true nature of mutants in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, revealing that instead of being a natural evolution, the mutant gene was a result of a failed attempt to revive the super soldier serum. This revelation shakes Magneto to his core, asking the X-Men for forgiveness before Cyclops vaporizes and kills him. Ultimatum then concludes with Cyclops giving an address outside of the White House, where he's actually assassinated by Quicksilver, who is revealed to still be alive and now following in his father's footsteps. Now, to many people, Ultimatum is seen as the end of the golden age of the Ultimate Universe, with many of its biggest characters and teams being killed off during this 5-issue story. But perhaps more so than anyone else, the X-Men suffered the most from this event, with 4 of the most popular mutant characters, Professor X, Cyclops, Magneto, and Wolverine, all being killed and never brought back to the series. In the fallout of Ultimatum, the Ultimate X-Men book would be relaunched as Ultimate Comics X, with Marvel introducing a whole new generation of mutants that would carry the X-Men mantle into the future, with the most notable being Jimmy Hudson, the illegitimate son of Wolverine. This would be followed up on in 2011 with the launch of Ultimate Comics X-Men, which would finally form a new iteration of the team consisting of Hudson as well as Kitty Pryde, Iceman, Rogue, and Johnny Storm, following the dissolution of the Ultimate Fantastic Four. Despite the difficult constraints put against them, the book's initial creative team, Nick Spencer and Paco Medina, would attempt to use it as an opportunity to create a wildly different version of the classic team, with this new X-Men facing off against both a new fleet of Sentinels named Nimrods, and even a rival mutant team led by Jean Grey. However, despite these efforts, I think it's fair to say that Ultimate X-Men never regained the momentum and popularity it had in the years before Ultimatum, with the book eventually being cancelled in October 2013, in anticipation of another universe-wide crossover, Cataclysm: The Ultimate's Last Stand. Now, Cataclysm would pave the way for the 2015 event Secret War, which saw the Ultimate Universe be destroyed, and alongside many of Marvel's other realities, be reforged into Battleworld. The aftermath of Secret Wars would see several Ultimate characters arrive in Marvel's classic 616 universe, namely Miles Morales, the Maker, and Jimmy Hudson. And while the X-Men would receive a renewed focus in their mainline books in more recent years, the Ultimate X-Men would largely be left behind in the past, destined to never fight another day. Having revisited the Ultimate X-Men series many years after it first hit shelves, I can't help but feel like it represents a missed opportunity. Although it's definitely not amongst the worst reinventions in the Ultimate Marvel universe, for the most part I feel like Ultimate X-Men lacked the new ideas and reinventions that made some of the other Ultimate books so successful and long lasting. While the likes of Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Fantastic Four, and the Ultimates all rebuilt their characters' mythos from the ground up in an extremely new and modern way, many of the X-Men stories often felt like they could have took place in the regular Marvel 616 continuity. Now, I think this is partly a result of Mark Millar's admitted inexperience with the wider X-Men lore, as the writer had to base his new interpretation so closely to that of the live-action films, and as a result, I feel like it lacked the uniqueness that made the Ultimate Universe so interesting in its early years. For me personally, this is compounded by the fact that running concurrent to Millar's Ultimate X-Men run, Marvel's main X-Men series was in the middle of a radical reinvention under Grant Morrison, with this iteration of the team feeling like a more modern and updated version than its Ultimate counterpart. I understand that Morrison's new X-Men can still be polarizing to some, but to me, this era of storytelling was pivotal in evolving and pushing the X-Men into the 21st century, something that should have been at the very heart of Millar and the Kubert's Ultimate reinvention. Now, this isn't to say that Ultimate X-Men is necessarily bad. While it's not amongst my favourites in the Ultimate Universe, I do think there are many interesting storylines and characters from its 100+ issue run. For example, the idea of introducing Wolverine as a villain made the initial few issues to be quite compelling, and later stories such as Return of the King, The Magnetic North, as well as the climactic Apocalypse saga, all felt very compelling and interesting in different ways. That said though, it's hard for me to overlook the feeling that Marvel sadly played it too safe when they introduced the Ultimate X-Men, and only offered minor tweaks to already familiar concepts. Compared to what they did to teams like the Fantastic Four, for instance, this version of the X-Men largely felt like the X-Men, and while that's not necessarily a bad thing, it did make it difficult for this book to stand out against its long-running and beloved 616 counterpart. I commend all of the different writers involved in this series throughout the years for trying to shake up the team's status quo at different periods, especially in the years after Ultimatum when many of the big X-Men characters had been killed off. But to be completely honest, Ultimate X-Men just failed to grab me and truly make me resonate with this band of mutant heroes and their struggle for justice and equality in the Ultimate Universe. More so than anything else, my biggest takeaway is that I feel like this version of the characters lacked the necessary evolution and changes from their more traditional versions that they needed in order to succeed. And for a team whose entire concept is so heavily built around evolution, it truly makes Ultimate X-Men feel like a missed opportunity. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like on the video and leave a comment down below as well. Let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about in today's video. I can't wait to hear what you have to say as always. If you're new to Owen Likes Comics, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notify bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you want some more, there should be some other videos on screen right now that you might also enjoy. If you want to help support the channel and help me make more videos, you can do so over at patreon.com/OwenLikesComics. And if you want some more of me, you can follow me on Twitter just at OwenLikesComics. That's all for this video though. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you next time. But until then, take care, and keep reading.